YouTube, and welcome to Patreon Picks. I'm doing something a little bit different for this. Like, usually when I start off an episode, it is heavily scripted. All videos are facades, and they are heavily scripted. But for this one, I'm no script, because I want to say one interesting thing that I like about Patreon Picks is I play games that I usually would never play. But Drakkhen is a very interesting case, because I at least have a passing knowledge of a game. Like there's no knowns and there's unknown unknowns. Wait, there's known unknowns, things that you know that you don't know, and things that you don't know that you don't know. To review a game, I need to have a passing knowledge of the game. I need to know it exists. I've never heard of Drakkhen. In fact, I don't even know what the art is. Like, I got this about a month ago. It's been sitting there, but I haven't even looked at the art. So what is the art? There's like a awesome dragon guy and some Stonehenge, some demons. It's made an armadillo developed this game. So yeah, let's see what this is. What have you got for me, Harold Webb? Is it a good game? We'll see. So here's the opening. Oh, and there's the dragon I was talking about. So he starts off by telling me some stuff, like 4 elements, 2 poles, 8 principles. Who cares? Well, let's start up a new file. So we get to make ourselves 4 characters, and I like inserting myself in games when I got a chance. So I will have Chet the cleric, and let's have a girl be the scout, named Scout. You see, it's an homage to Harper Lee's book, How to Kill a Mockingbird. Now we'll get ourselves a wizard. What's a good wizard name? How about Ganduldor? Yeah, that's a good name. And for our final person, we'll have another female, and she'll be an Amazon, the last Amazoness.
That energy has coursed through Class Rep and transformed her into the last Amazoness.
Yes, Amazoness! Yes, Amazoness!
Alright, characters created and the 8 principles he was talking about, whatever. What do we have in Drakkhen? Oh. Okay. So, Drakkhen is pretty ugly and clunky, mostly because it was originally made for the Amiga, but it was also one of the very first games on the SNES, so there was actually a lot of coverage for it before it came out. But wow, look at this movement! I guess tricking an early SNES cartridge into being a 3D game is impressive in 1991, but 27 years later, nobody should stand for this. In fact, if I wasn't contractually obligated through the Patreon thing, I probably would have hired a Catholic priest to splash some holy water on this game within 10 minutes. So, the first thing we see is a castle, so I decide to walk towards the thing, and right off the bat, a random encounter with a snake, and my whole team just immediately descends on the guy, and it looks like a gang initiation. After murdering the snake, we start walking again, but right off the bat, we are in another random encounter with a shrub? And that's one thing that's slightly annoying about Drakkhen. There is no random encounter cooldown. Like in Pokemon, whenever you get out of a random encounter, you can take at least 7 steps before you get jumped again. But in this game, you can have a lot of battles in a very small amount of time. But after I finish up the battles, I make it to the castle and we all head on inside. And this is dungeon exploration in the most clunky of forms. So we go and we hit this button and it immediately lowers all of the beams so that now we can walk through the rooms. So I have the wizard walk right and immediately I am threatened by a lizard. And since Ganduldor is all alone, I have him step out. Yeah, for some weird reason, if you don't hit X inside of the dungeons, only one member of your team will enter a room at a time. So I take the scout and I check upstairs and I don't think she can take that lizard on Vigilante, so I have her step out. Then I have her step through the 3rd door, which just like spits the entire team out of the castle. Okay, whatever. Let's go find a city or something to buy weapons. Anything but this. We walk for about 1 minute and what's up with the Cave of Wonders? What? Whoa! Hey! Oh, what the Never before have I needed a walkthrough so badly, so quickly. Okay, so this time we head straight for the castle, and I hit X so I can bring my team to curb stomp these dragon dudes. And after killing the first one, we get 2 shields, and I give it to my scout and my Amazon because they're supposed to be your melee troops on the front lines. We head into another room and get some short swords, which I quickly give to them. And going through rooms and killing dudes, we eventually meet the prince. Prince Drakkhen. And he has a pretty cool songs, and the whole time he's like flashing gang signs at us, and he tells us to go check on his sister on the western side of the map. And we're off. We walk around the Flashing Arrow Road, we fight some monsters, we go to the healing guy, and we even get attacked by the stars. But I immediately ran from that fight. I am not fighting the stars at this low of a level.
Stars! Can't do it. Not today.
But we made it to the sister's castle, but this weird little dude tells us that the castle has been plundered, and the princess has been kidnapped. So I decided to head back to the first castle, tell brother what's happened. But it seems that since I've been gone, they've invested in a bit more, security. Sharks. Can't do it. Not today. All you gotta do to get past it is to time it so that you run when they are like on the right side of the bridge. So I re-navigate through the dungeon and kill more of the dragons. Okay, this is weird, man. Am I friends with the dragons? Like I know that I'm helping the prince and the princess with all of this, but I need to kill all of the denizens of the castle. I don't get it, man. Anyway, I tell the prince the bad news, and he is so mad that we came back with this news that he makes our bodies more powerful so that we can enter the swamp area. Huh. Yeah, the world is broken up into 4 areas to prevent the player from going somewhere and getting killed prematurely because they're too weak. So they have this old man that tells you to, like, turn back. But now that the prince has given me his blessing, I can now enter the swamp, which has a new song. I mean, it's not nearly as good as the prince's theme, but come on, what actually is? Actually, while we're on that subject, I believe that this is the most bog standard soundtrack I've ever heard. I mean, early SNES soundtrack based off the Amiga. Okay, I guess I shouldn't expect too much, but oh, but I don't want to lump the Princess theme in with the rest of the soundtrack, because that song is just awesome! So before I hit up the castle, I decided to explore the swamp a bit, and I hit up every single one of these inns. Not a single one of these waypoints are inns. There's no healing, there's no merchants. There are just villagers who say the most random of things to you. Sorry, I'm in a hurry. I must go and have my scythe sharpened. You gotta sharpen your scythe. What does that mean? Okay, so in the swamp, I randomly encounter a merchant, and with that, I have Chet and Gandalor switch their weapons out for bows and arrows so they won't get slaughtered on the front lines. And I found out that I actually have a modicum of control in the fights. I can control one person and have them walk into the foe and they'll just start slashing. And since the Amazon is the primary damage dealer of the party, I usually end up controlling her. So we make it to the next castle, and it has its drawbridge door drawn. So I have Dumbledore cast a spell on it, and then it opens, and then we walk through and have some of the weirdest, most convoluted challenges, like unkillable fireplace demons. Most of the rooms are like dark and you can't see, and at one point, the Amazoness gets warped to another room that's filled with water, so she's just taking constant drowning damage. And that's another kind of weird thing. So if you're in the overworld and you step on some water, you will have all of your people walk on screen and start sinking, and they'll take drowning damage. But you know, you can actually retreat from the battle. So if you're dogged enough, you can actually ford any river by stepping on the water and then just immediately retreating. I mean, you'll almost instantly be thrown back into the battle, and it'll take a while to make it across any body of water, but you can. Unless, of course, an enemy attacks during this time, in which case you're kind of screwed because you gotta fight it while everyone's sinking, and it's a blast! Anyway, back in the castle, I find a human prisoner and I set him free. And I'm gonna read to you what he says, and I want you to keep in mind that every dungeon has a prince or a princess, and they have the worst names ever. I have a hard time believing that a human wrote this story, because I don't know how anyone would think these names up. I don't know how they'd get approved. I did not know the name of a single character in this game. They were bad names. Like here's the thing. I watch anime a lot, and I never know any of the characters' names because my brain will not store Japanese names. The only Japanese name that I've bothered to learn is the name of Best Girl, and her name is Frog.
I told you to call me Sue.
I'm saved. Too bad. But just before Princess Hordkuh was captured, she was taken to Princess Nakuhukutha's castle. I don't know where that is, but ask her younger brother, Prince Nakuh then. His castle is in the northeast. He may know.
So, in 3 taps of the A button, I was introduced to 3 unpronounceable names that seemed kind of important to the game's progression. But at least I was given a direction to go. Northeast bound! But when I get to that castle, there's some guards that just tell me to leave and then I can't enter. So I head to the other castle of the land, which has a solitary survivor who tells me that he'll distract the guards so that I can enter. So we head all the way back across the map and I enter the castle. And it was a pretty straightforward dungeon, but there was this random guy who says,
"A secret told is no more. The mystery left is only one's own."
Your sentences border on senseless.
I make my way down to the catacombs and I find the first princess that I was sent to look for. She tells me that my goal now is collecting the 8 tears, which all of the lizard, dragon, prince, and princesses keep in their foreheads. She presents me with hers, and now we head to another castle. Once again, everyone in the castle is hostile, except the princess who rules over it. She's pretty cool, and she asks me to go kill the first prince that we ever met. So we head to the first dragon guy, you know, the one with the awesome music, and he is, well, he's not happy to see us. So we're gonna be fighting, and let me tell you what the walkthrough said. It says, this is gonna be a tough fight. You're gonna need everyone at least level 8. You're gonna need the best items. You're gonna need to cast spells beforehand to get your strength and invisibility up. You're gonna need your priest shooting heals. You're gonna need your wizard shooting fireball and antimatter. And honestly, only my Amazon is at level 8. Everyone else is around level 5. Well, whatever. Let's go in, let's see what this fight brings! He died in like 2 hits. So we take his tear and then we head to the princess who told us to kill him and she just gives us her tear. Okay, this game does absolutely nothing to tell you who the good or bad guys are. They're all just dragons. Some have been nice, some I need to kill, like the guy I just killed. He was the very first one I met and asked me to check on his sister and then I went back and killed him. So now we need to head to the desert castles, and the desert is hard. I mean, the very first enemy we encountered just one-shotted my Amazon, so I ended up fleeing most fights in the desert. But we get to the castle, which only opens for a couple of seconds at dawn. And the castle inside is pretty much wrecked. Every room just has a description of the blood and bodies that are piled up. But eventually we find the princess, but she's missing her gem and she's been killed. The next room has this low-level monster who ended up having the gem. We killed him and then the prince shows up, and he swears that he will have revenge for the one who slaughtered his sister. And he tells us that their castle is way up north, and then he takes off. I guess that means we're heading to the north, doesn't it? It's quite a long journey all the way to the north, but whatever. We get to the castle, and then we make it to the princess and stab her. And she is like the only somewhat difficult boss. She instantly kills anyone who touches her. Amazon, Scout, and even the priest didn't make it. But the wizard just stands there shooting spells. He doesn't need to do anything to win, and boom, she's dead. We take her tear, and then the prince runs in. How the heck did we beat you, dude? We had like random encounters and I had to go off track to hit up the healing place? Well, whatever. He's grateful to us for avenging his sister and he gives us his tear. Now I have but 1 tear to collect and there's only 1 castle left to go to. And without really grinding, I find the Dragon Prince. Alright, final fight. Let's go! That was the final boss, okay, whatever. Now we take all 8 tears and head to the glowy road from the beginning of the game, and 4 dragons descend down upon us from the sky. And you know how I said that the last guy was the final boss? Well, yeah, I was telling the truth. These guys say congrats, don't mess with dragons, and look forward to Drakkhen 2. Harold, buddy, what the flip was that? Why was this your pick? Okay, I can understand a masterpiece like The Last of Us, or a torturous existence like Big Rigs. Yeah, but this clunky, weird game that I don't even think it has a story. Now, I did just spend the last, 15 minutes, whatever, telling the story, and I don't think anybody who watched the video could tell you what the story was. I spent 7 hours with it, and I just wrote a script and read that script about it, and I couldn't tell you the story of Drakkhen. It was hard to follow. But whatever, that was your pick, I played it, and I'll say this. It wasn't an experience completely devoid of fun. I had some fun with it, even though it was clunky and cumbersome. But now, it's showtime. The show Patreon Picks is brought to me by generous people who do not despise my content. You see, for every dollar you give me, I go ahead and I write your name down on this, and then I throw it in the bucket, and then I stir the bucket. I stir the pot. I really anger everyone, and then you know, it could be any game that you have me choose. It could be a super fun game like Metopia. It could be a very drab game like Drakkhen. But whatever it is, you know, go ahead, you get it, and then I'll put it in, and then I'll pick it out, and then we'll go ahead and review that one. So, yeah, that's pretty much how it works. Let's see what we'll be doing next time. We're gonna, oh! Megan Anderson has told me to play Telltale, TTT, The Walking Dead Season 1. Alright?